Hello Techies, welcome back to our channel UiPath by Sujitha. In this video, we are going to learn about a very new property, that is Window Selector from Modern Design Experience. This is the most demanding video with a perfect example. So don't skip the video, just go through the complete concept so that it will help you whenever it is needed. This is on special request from our subscribers. So thanks for requesting this so that it will be helpful for everyone. So now let us dive into this concept, Window Selector. Window Selector, the name itself explains you, right? We already covered many videos on selectors concept, right? A quick recap. What is a selector? Selector is nothing but an XML fragment which enables the executor, which enables the bot in identifying the UI element from application, whether it is a web application or a desktop application, right? Now, what is a window selector? Window selector is nothing but the same selector which enables the executor in identifying the application. Normal selector is what it is identifying a UI element in the application, whereas window selector is what it is able to identify the complete application, right? The parent. Let me give you here, let us make a note of this. As I request you every time, please make a note of at least the key highlights of what you are going to learn from this video. So it will help you whenever it is needed. Window selector, the selector that is used for the application window. Okay, fine, Sujitha. What about this concept? Application instance. Why you kept this in bracket? Why this been there in the UiPath Studio under Window Selector properties? The reason is this. Application instance. Application instance. If you have knowledge on any other languages, you might have heard about the sessions, right? Sessions are nothing but the instances, right? So applications instance. There might be n number of applications, so there might be n number of instances. So whenever the executor is dealing with a particular instance of an application, that is nothing but application instance. The window selector for a particular application instance is what we are going to talk about. That means it is going to expire once you close this instance, once this instance been expired, right? Just for temporary purpose. For example, Java or any other language, we used to have some sessions, right? Cookies or sessions, for example. So we will perform some functionality within that particular session. When the session expires, the functionality may no more available, right? The same way, we are talking about the window selector, the selector to identify a particular window provided a particular instance of the application. Clear? Right. By this we can understand that this window selector is going to be applicable only when the window attach mode is set to application instance. Nothing to worry or nothing to get confused about this. UiPath has kept everything ready on the plate. What we are supposed to do is we just need to select this application instance option in the window attach mode field from the activity. I'll show you how to set this application instance option through window attach mode field. How and where. Okay. Don't get confused if you are very new to this concept. It is very simple. Once after completing this video, on a quick recap, you will come to know how simple it is. Okay, just quickly go to our UiPath Studio. Please open this along with me. and I'm having a modern modern design experience project where I created a separate sequence for our demo, window selector sequence. Now what I'm going to do is I have opened a Google Chrome, a website. What I'm doing here, I'm going to type google.com. Okay, now I'm going to attach this window. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use application browser activity, and I'm indicating the same here. Okay, so just go back to the selector of this one. It says Google, right? Google. Now whatever activities we added in this we add in this particular container, it will inherit the properties of this, right? Properties in the sense it will inherit and it will come to know that the actions should be performed on this particular browser for particular application, right? Because of that reason only, if suppose I place this click activity outside this container, what we get, this activity must be inside the user, right? So an exception being thrown, right? So it should be surrounded by a container all the time because it needs a direction on which this click operation should be performed, right? That means it is getting some value inherited from the parent. Parent is nothing but this particular use application browser activity, right? Now I'm having a click activity where I'm going to indicate this one. Okay, fine. Now let us see here under target, on click activity, under target, you could see something called Window Selector application instance. Just mouse over to it. What it says, selector for the application window, only applicable when window attach mode is set to application instance. And when you open this, you could see this one. Just copy this to make you understand more clear. I'm just copying this from Window Selector application instance from the click activity. Now I'm going back to my use application browser. Take the selector from here, properties, go back to our yes, both are same, right? From this what you can understand? Important one. It will by default inherits the same window selector. That means the same application selector. Okay. Same in the sense the current one, right? In which it is existing, in which it is present. Click activity, it is inside this particular Google related application browser activity, right? So it is inheriting the selector from this main container and it is displaying here. It is using the same selector. Now that is the reason it is always performing the activity on the same application. Now there is a condition, right? Application instance. We talked about it, where to check or how to set this application instance, right? Just go back to this activity, use application browser, application card activity. Under options, you could see window attach mode. What it says, defines where inner activities search for the target elements. This is the place where we can decide whether this is an application instance or a single window. Okay, so let us set this as application instance, then only this will work. Fine, clear up to the definition part, right? Now why we use this, when to use this, I'll let you know with an example. Till this point you are clear, right? So from the container we have window attach mode property where we are selecting application instance option, and from the click activity or type into activity, I mean to say the child activities, you could see window selector application instance, which is inheriting the same application selector by default. Now when we run this, what happens? You can guess, right? It will go and click here. Fine. Now just think about a situation where when I'm doing some multiple actions on this part, on this application, say for example, I'm going to search for today's weather, okay, and then I'm going to read this data, all this multiple actions I'm performing on this. All of a sudden, some other, a pop-up just disturbs my flow. What happens? Say for example this way, maybe at background something might be downloading, and once after completing the downloading it might be giving you a prompt saying download completed, or maybe some other cookies related pop-up came from other application or other tab all of a sudden, which is irrelevant to this application. It is going to disturb the flow, right? So in order to accommodate such clicks, what we do, we used to add one more browser or one more attach window or one more use application browser container activity, and we used to perform other activities, right? Now let me explain you through a best example. Okay, so for that what I'm going to do is I just cleared everything. So I have taken a separate sequence for this, and I'm going to create, I just opened a Google www.google.com and one more window, that is again say let us use youtube.com. okay, so now two windows, right? Two separate. We already discussed about the instances, application instances. So this is one instance and this is going to be like a one more instance. So now in order to perform activities in each of these, in our traditional automation, how we used to do, we used to have a separate open browser or attach window or attach browser activities, right? Whereas in modern design experience, using this window selector concept, we can achieve this in a same use application browser activity. Let me show you how to do this. What I'm going to do is, in this first one, I'm just typing something here and I'm just searching for that. Later, in this youtube.com, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this get it now. Let us see. For that, at first, I'm going to drag use application browser and indicate this on screen. So this is my application. Let me remove this, minimize this. Let me minimize this first and then let me automate this. Yeah, this is my first application, right? So now I'm going to set this application instance to single window for now. Okay, now just save this and let us have some type into activity inside this, where I'm going to type something here. Fine. And let me give an anchor as well. Confirm. Fine. What I'm going to search? I'm going to search for our UiPath by Sujitha. And then use a keyboard shortcut. Use enter. Okay. So fine. Test up to this. Let us test this. So all these activities are on this particular application instance. Okay. I'm typing for Sujitha, UiPath by Sujitha and clicking on enter. Right. So far it is fine. Now I would like to shift to this particular separate window and click on get it now. For that, what I'm going to use is, say for example, in this type into activity, if you could see under target, we could not see the window selector option, right? We already discussed about this. Only if we select this window attach mode in the outer container, that means in our application browser container to application instance, then only we could get window selector application instance in the corresponding child activities. Fine. So far you're good. And one more thing what we learned, this will by default inherits the selector from the application window. This one, right? Now what I'm going to do, instead of using one more use application browser activity for that one single click, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same click activity, and then I'm going to use this. Let me open this. Let me go to, this one. Now let me use this get it now. If I use this way, let us see how it behaves. Okay, so just saving this part. Now let me save this. Yes, done. Now let us go back to our YouTube. It says this one, right? On click of this, what happens? It is moving to this page. Now let us go back to the original position. And okay, let me refresh it. youtube.com. Fine. Yeah, this is coming, right? Now here also let me just refresh this. Fine. Now let us give a run. I think you are understanding the concept I'm trying to explain through this example. Fine. UiPath by Sujitha, it is searching for and then clicking on enter. First application is done. That means this particular application instance, it is able to complete all the activities. Next, it is supposed to do one click activity in the other application instance, that is in YouTube, right? www.youtube.com. There we just asked it to click on the get it now button. Fine. Let us see how it behaves. It ended up with an exception for the selector. Now let us adjust this selector. Go to properties of this activity. For that, what I am going to do is I am going to go to our let me give this as strict selector. Then let me go to our strict selector. Open it through through UI Explorer, and then what I am going to do, I am going to give this value. I am going to indicate this element now. Yes. Let us see. Yes, I am going to copy this. Save it. Let us go back to this. Yeah, it has taken the same. Now let us give a try. And before that, let us check whether it has taken the different parent container or not. If you see here, it says YouTube, right? Yeah. Now, let us see this way. Let me test this one. Yeah. This first application instance is working. So this is fine. Now our YouTube application, which is a separate one, that means a separate instance, right? So it is completed. Now let us go to this first one. This is fine. And the second one, if you see, perfect, right? So on click of, let me show you. On click of this particular get it now, it has redirected to this page. Perfect, right? Even though this is a separate application instance, it has executed within the same container. What is our container? Within the same add application or browser activity, right? In legacy automation using classic design experience, we used to have a separate attached window or separate attached browser, so on, right? What we did for this, we just hacked this particular activity in such a way that we just edited the strict selector and also we have edited the window selector. By default, it has inherited the selector from the parent application, right? This one. But since we have modified this selector using this window selector application instance, it is able to recognize the other application instance as well for this single particular activity. Though it is not a recommended one, at times whenever we are working with some pop-up kind of windows from other application instances, this is very useful and it saves our effort, right? So I hope you got a clear understanding on our concept. Simple. Whenever we go for window attached mode as application instance, we can able to work with different application instances. That means different application sessions in order to achieve our target accordingly. Okay. Now let me test the same using single mode, single window, because it will fail. Let me just go back to this. Let me just revert this one, also this one. Okay, just to make sure, because I am not doing from the beginning, right? Yeah, this is a. So now let us go back, run our file, and let us see how it behaves, because we selected the single window, right? Now let us see. No. See, got it, right? When we selected the single window, it says the UI element to be found does not belong to the target application that has window set to single mode, single window. Exactly, this is what we have learned and this is what we have experienced now. So I think you got a clear information on this. If you want more videos on this, whenever I get some examples in our daily day-to-day automations using pop-ups or any other kind of similar examples, I'll share with you. Thank you so much for the this request. Thank